We're going to go ahead on and call this, reconvene this meeting. Please join me in prayer, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we are so grateful, Lord. And Father, we do just want to tell you thank you. We know that we have been faced with a long journey. But Father, what better people to walk on this journey with than the people that are here to help? We thank you for each and every one that has come. Father, we thank you for the people that are here, Lord God. We lift up our community. We pray for the Panhandle, Lord. We continue to pray for the United States of America, Lord. We pray for each and every leader, Lord. We lift up each and every person in this room, Lord. Continue to give us wisdom and understanding. Father, continue to guide us by love, Lord. Father, we just thank you for your mercy and your grace. We continue to give you the praise. We continue to give you all the glory. And Father, we continue to give you the honor. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning to everyone. I pray everyone got a good night's sleep. It's tough to get a good night's sleep with what we're dealing with, but like I said the other day, this too shall pass. We're gonna get through this thing together. So at this time, before we throw it over to Mr. Hammond, I'm gonna ask the commissioners if they want to add anything or update to their communities. Commissioner McDaniel, you can go first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to praise you for a marvelous job that you have done here, and everyone. Quick update, Honeyville Park, I checked it early this morning. They're having eggs and French toast with coffee, so they're doing good. They're doing good. Probably in the north end of the county, and it's no comparison to here, probably on the safe side, 80% of the homes are a little above or can be occupied. So a lot of the people are in their homes. They're in their homes. Now, north of the West Arm, the city of Weaver Hitchcock, they're running water periodically, but a lot of the residents up there on pump water, most of them have all got generators. They're sharing around and they're surviving. They're doing good. Garbage, I work with Mr. Hammond here. We're going to, and as I said again, most of the homes up there, probably 85% can be occupied. We're going to set dumpsters, roll-offs, and some of these others for areas up there where they can come and put nothing but household. Down here, you have whole blocks that's no one here, and that's so sad, so sad. But other than that, we're doing all right on the north end. Naturally, we've got a little phone service late yesterday afternoon, and as soon as we can get this power, just be patient. But everything is settled down. Today will be better than yesterday, and yesterday was better than the day before, but we're doing good. And one other thing, to all the people that come in and want to loot and steal, be careful up on that end, because everybody's got old Mother Pearl right there sitting by the bed. So just a warning to all those who want to pilfer, you better stay clear up there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. White City, we had water last night. It fluctuated. We lost it for a little while. We're working real hard to get it back. St. Joe Beach, Highland View, most places out there have it. You know, it's getting better, and it'll be better at the end of the day today. You know, I appreciate all the people that have come into this county to help us. It's amazing at the people. I mean, they're bringing stuff in that they went and bought and giving it away to people. It's a blessing to us. Still a long way, but we're getting there. Thank y'all.
All right, and I'll go ahead and go before I go to you, Mr. McComb. Just a quick update. We'll continue to work hard, and I just want to thank each and every one in this room that's out, you know, in the field. I mean, it's easy to criticize on the sideline when you ain't doing anything. but the ones that are putting hands to it, I really appreciate you, and those are the people we need. We need people who are helping, who are volunteering, who are sending supplies, not people standing on the sideline with the negative comments. We need people with hands on. So we really appreciate everyone that's hands on, and the people that are sending supplies, and the people that are far away but they sending stuff, or they coming to help. So I just want to pass that on to thank you all, especially the people that's in this room, for your time and all your hard work. Update on District 4. We still, like I said, we still got a long way to go. But we're going to get there one day at a time. Like I tell a lot of people, I say, I wish I was dreaming. I wish somebody would wake me up and we'll be back in where we were 2 weeks ago, but we're not. But I can't snap my fingers, and I tell them, I wish I could snap my fingers and it'll be all the same. So we're taking it one day at a time, hour by hour. It's going to get better. So we will get back to where we were, but it's going to take time. Commissioner McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. District 5, first of all, I just want to thank the fire departments. I tell you, especially South Gulf and City of Port St. Joe. Without these guys, we couldn't manage. And we've come a long way in just a few days. We've come a long way, and we got a long way to go. But I tell you, the people have been great, and just trying to keep the materials flowing to the fire departments to keep. And if you know of anybody that's in, I'm getting messages, shoot us a text, or shoot the staff a message. There's still people that have no way to get food, to get water, and we need to know that. And if you could keep us, if you know of somebody, get that to us. And I think that we put a dumpster out by the, or a roll-off out by the scout hut. They were going to do that, did they? Okay, so I guess we can put the household garbage in those roll-offs. Only household garbage, but you can put that in. But just wanted to thank our staff and this board. We've come a long way in a few days. Got a long way to go, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Mr. McNabb. Mr. Hammond.
Somebody. Real quick, I want to let everybody know, most of you got to see them. We waited on them for a long time, but we had a lot of real good action yesterday. We had a bottleneck at the state because of lack of communication, and everything was being held up for a couple of days. Senator Montford, Senator Baxley, who's from the Ocala area, I think he's going to be appropriations chair. Senator Broxton from West Florida came. Congressman Dunn came at the same time. They were all able to get in the room together. They got on the phone with Tallahassee. It was somewhat tense. A few hours later, things started moving. About that time, CFO Petronas came. He stayed in Port St. Joe about 5 or 6 hours yesterday afternoon. He met with the school superintendent. He met around town. The governor was calling the chairman before too long after that. The governor's been great, but again, they're overwhelmed. So things started moving yesterday, and now they're really moving. So that's a positive thing. We've been having the senator from Baldwin County, I can't remember his name, Alabama. Anyway, a lot of concern. Attorney General Pam Bondi's coming today. Maybe not, at least to fly over by the president this afternoon. He's coming to Eglin sometime around lunch. A couple of things that we've got to decide. We need a decision tomorrow on this. We've had an offer from I guess coordination with DOT and emergency management to assume the disaster contract for the removal for storm debris. Again, there's pros and cons. I'd ask you to review this information, and I'll ask you for a decision from the board tomorrow. The attorney has some things we need to bring up about advertisements and RFQs.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Going through this process, obviously, you all know we've been without power and communications, electronics, but now as we're coming back online each day, what we need to do is I need the authorizing votes from this commission to move forward and work through the drafting and permission to go out to advertise for these services that Mr. Hammond spoke of. So we're going to develop an RFP and RFQ process. I need authorizing votes for the the public assistance. I'm developing both a monitoring and a public assistance. Depending on the decisions you make tomorrow morning, I may pull some of those back. but I'll continue to move forward over the next 24 hours, develop them, have them ready, and then based on your decisions tomorrow with the state's offer, we can pull some of them back, but we can move forward with the others. But if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. We'll go out, we'll follow state statute. Any expedited track we can file under an emergency declaration, we'll do that. But I'll need a motion and a vote to authorize us to move forward with that, and I'll update you tomorrow morning on that track.
Thank you, sir.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner McDaniel,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Any further board discussion? Any opposition to that motion? Motion passes 4-0.
Mr. Chairman, one other item, we're speaking with, obviously, any interlocal governmental assistance or mutual share of aid. We have interlocals in the past, but as we work with the City of Port St. Joe and the City of Wheeler-Hitchcock, I would like authorization from you that we have permission to move forward with any necessary interlocal agreements. They're having meetings, obviously, today and each day like we are moving forward. And so as I work with their attorneys to have the permission to draft them, provide them to you, but authorize the chairman to sign those interlocal agencies if there's an ability for them to consolidate efforts and resources moving forward.
All right, thank you,
So
sir.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Rogers, second by Commissioner McCrone. Any further board discussion on this? Any opposition to that motion? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right, Gulf Coast Electric, come on up to the podium. Mr. Taylor, can you put that, set that on there?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
There you go. Thank you. Commissioners, thank y'all for giving me a minute to update you and the community.
Yes, sir.
You know, Mr. Hammond hit the nail on the head. Communications have been our biggest challenge, and we are very happy that, first off, about 3 o'clock this morning, Verizon came on and hasn't turned back off yet. So we're very glad for that. We got people coming in from everywhere. We staged them in before the storm. Of course, the tree damage, Commissioner McDaniel mentioned earlier, the houses, fortunately, they're not terribly bad in most cases, but the tree damage we had damaged the majority of our system. So Wednesday, we had 100% of our system out. As of 5 o'clock this morning, we're down to 51% on, so only 49% are down. Those are the two good points. The downside is Wheeler-Hitchcock and our northern Gulf County transmission and distribution lines were some of the hardest hit because of the tree damage knocked the poles down. So those are not part of the 51% we've restored, but we went from 20 people on Thursday to 180 people on Friday. So we have the personnel and the staff, and we're putting up hundreds of poles a day. So we're working as fast as we can. We've flown all of our transmission infrastructure, Dead Lakes, Wheeler-Hitchcock substations, and what we're doing is running them through the sub at Dead Lakes because Wheeler-Hitchcock is going to take a lot longer. We're going to feed it south to make sure we can get the lift stations, water, some of the stores for services for our communities, and we went through that with most of our folks here in the city and the county to make sure we're on the right page for y'all. So if there's anything else we can do to update you, we'll be back every morning. Yes, sir.
Don't forget White City.
We won't. That's why we have to be here. We've got a new transmission system coming in so that we can increase the voltage supply out of Dead Lakes so that we can get as far south as we can get, as quickly as we can get it. And we have a few hundred people on the transmission side that are working. But y'all know that swamp, it's a lot more difficult to get back in that swamp than on the distribution lines. Any other questions?
Any questions?
I'm good.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yes, sir.
Yes, question. We had a chance.
Come on up here so we get you on.
Okay.
Right there, Mike. Yeah, right there.
Hey, right there, grab mine. Yeah, we had, John and I had a chance to talk briefly, and just for the sake of you giving us an assurance that we're optimistic that possibly 1 week we could have power to Wewell Elementary School.
Yes, sir, we can get our distribution side for those few areas coming out 71 and
Right.
heading towards y'all just a little bit.
So that plays into our plans,
Yes,
and that's what I was gonna say, and Principal Daly and Lori Price and I have done a list, and we'll share that all with
Okay.
you shortly when we talk about that.
And the transformer and switch gear that we have at Dead Lakes that we need to have designed, most likely, that's the only thing from the transmission side that could push that a little bit. But every one of us in all areas are working on making sure that can open out.
Any updates, I'll be glad to bring them to y'all. Any more questions?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank y'all.
it. Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
That was, I apologize, that was, Dr. Petronas and the governor trying to get a generator for the Piggly Wiggly to get it open. And, so they're working on that as we speak, so, if Duke has an update.
All right, Mr. Mike, here.
There you
There you go.
Perfect
Just-
time.
It's your turn.
Come on, Mr.
up.
Mike, your turn. Walked in at the right time.
Good morning. I apologize for running a little bit late.
It's all right.
Try to provide the best update that I can. We continue to work hard, work safe, and making good progress. As of yesterday, we had approximately 1,200 linemen and vegetation folks here in Gulf County doing all the restoration work that we can. I believe that we hit two important milestones last night. I wasn't able to get confirmation before I came in here, but I believe that we brought up the St. Joe substation and what we call the St. Joe Industrial substation. So if those are hot, which I believe they are, then that brings the feeders out of there. We have to complete the repair work and restoration on that. I'll get a report on that this morning. But once those feeders are up and operational, once the substations are up and operational, which I think the subs are okay, that puts us in, that's an important milestone. And that puts us in a position to start bringing back the hospital, water treatment, government buildings, pretty much all of Port St. Joe proper, if you will. So we'll continue to do what we can to bring everything back as safely as we can, as quickly as we can. We appreciate the patience of the community. I mean, the people have been absolutely wonderful. I'm proud of our crews and what they're doing out there. And again, I think we're making good progress. There actually was a public announcement last night that I read late last evening that we have finally provided what we would call a ETR for the community or for Gulf County. Now that is for all the parts of the county that can safely take power. That does not include Cape San Blas yet, that doesn't include the beaches, but we announced last night that we believe we're on track to restore power to the majority of Gulf County by 11:59 p.m. Thursday night. So again, we're making progress. We'll continue to work hard. I'll continue to give you these updates, and again, appreciate everybody's patience.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, come on up, Mr.
I got one question.
Mr. Hoffman.
I've had people receive text messages,
Yeah.
and it looks like it's from Duke, and some say power may be on as early as last night, and is that from Duke, and how do we distinguish where that message is actually coming from?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about those text messages. We do have a text service that will let customers know power may.
Hold on 1 second, Mr. Mike. Can we take a quick recess? I think this might be the president. Let's recess real quick, 5 minutes. All right, let's get the meeting called back to reconvene. Come on back up, Mr. Mike. You can finish up. I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
But again, making steady progress, and the Duke Energy portion of Gulf County, all the customers that are safe to receive power, we hope that Thursday before midnight we'll have restored. Again, we know there's going to be a process working with the county, bringing back the businesses and the homes that are going to need some work before they're safe to receive power, and we're going to work right with you through that whole process. So that's all I have.
So Mike, you have transmission back to the substations then?
I got a phone call right now. I'm not sure if that was who was calling me back, but I believe we did.
Okay, great.
I believe we
great.
did. Originally, we thought it would be last night, then I had to back off and say it might be today sometime. Last night, I got word that I could pretty much rely on last night, and I wanted to double confirm it this morning. But I believe we did. And again, once we do that, that's a big milestone.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, sir.
thank you.
While Mr. Mike taking a seat, I just wanted to add to Duke and Co-op and Gulf Coast. I mean, they're doing a fantastic job. They're moving a whole lot quicker than I believe what we thought. So hats off to those guys for doing a fantastic job. Because that's a lot of questions I get. When is our power going to be back on? When can I get power? And as soon as we get power, those families that can move back will come on back home. Mr. Hammond?
Go to Mr. Anderson.
All right, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We continue to be under a boil water notice. We are working on loss of leaks that we are trying to contain. As soon as we can get that under control, the next step will be to get out there and test, and then we have to send it out to a lab. So we're doing everything we can to work towards potable water. That's our ultimate goal right now. With sewer, we're working through our lift station. We have several additional crews that are coming on to help the sewer plant and the sewer distribution system. So we will begin that process today. We also have a strike team coming in to assist with our fire department. Last thing I have is we will have a city commission meeting at 1 o'clock at City Hall today. Mayor, Commissioners, y'all have anything else that I might have missed?
I just want to say, we thank each and everybody that's been working hard. I know everybody's working hard, everybody's getting tired, but we really do appreciate you. And I just want to give Jim a city manager here at KF, but he's been working hard. He hasn't took any time off, or he took just a little bit of time off yesterday to be with his family. He came back in town, his family's lost everything. So I just commend him and the rest of the staff of the city and also the county and EOC. We appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you.
We can go Mr. Cortland, City Wheel.
I don't have anything right now.
Okay.
I do.
Yes.
I do want to thank everybody, the county, everybody's worked hard. Kelly, seems like she's a step ahead of me every time I get ready to tell somebody something. I get there and Kelly's already there doing it, and I said, well, all right. But Mark, the county, every time we asked them to do something or needed help, they jumped in and just really helped us. And I know they're busy and they stop and talk to us for 5 minutes, and I know they don't really have 5 minutes to do it, but they've helped us out. And I got a list here, but it probably takes long to tell everybody thank you if I missed it. But we do. The city of Wewell really appreciates all the help we've got from the county and EOC and everything. But I do want to ask, we was talking yesterday in the meeting, and I'm not real familiar with it, but Michael was talking about FEMA, that the county was responsible for 12.5%, and I'm thinking the city's responsible for some of it. You was putting in for a waiver on that. Is that something that the city needs to get started on now? Because, I mean, we can't afford 12.5% of $200 million a year. It's something that we need to be working on now.
The next time you meet, go ahead and request that waiver from the state. The president waived it for the first 5 days, I think, totally. We're hoping that'll extend, but that will run out eventually, and that's unusual. And in the past, Gulf County, on behalf of things that the county does in relation with the city, mainly roads, but y'all are both going to have sewer and water issues that you're going to have to do independently. So we're going to handle all the big stuff that we do together, and then y'all will have to handle the little stuff that y'all, well, I say the little stuff, it's big stuff, but it's the stuff that the county has no association with. We have been successful in the past of getting, in past storms, getting the state to waive our match. The problem is it's never been anywhere near this large. I mean, we've been hundreds of thousands of waiver match. We're talking about tens of millions of waivers of match. So yes, when you get back and have your next meeting, if you can make that formal request to both federal and state for the waiver of the FEMA match, that's
And who do we contact for that?
I'll let Jeremy get the contact information.
Okay, I appreciate it. And when you were talking about FEMA bringing in the pod shelters, what was 6 or 8 of them, we talked at a meeting, and P.L. James, if they want to set up at P.L. James Park, that'd be a great spot for it. We'd be glad to get them to do that. And like I said, just let us know when we get there, and if we need somewhere else, we can find somewhere else too. And the other thing, I've had some people ask about mail. I don't know that mail coming in, and that's voting. What are we going to do on voting? You know,
The supervisor of elections has got an update, and we'll invite him tomorrow to give an update. He met with the Secretary of State on site, I believe, yesterday. My days running together. This is what it looks like, and I'd rather him say it, but just to allay the fears, because early voting starts in less than 2 weeks.
Mail run today.
Mail run today?
The supervisor elections is going to ask for a waiver. Most of our fire departments are the voting places, and they're being tied up. So we're definitely going to have early voting on both ends, at the office here in Fort St. Joe and at the library. So that's going to be up and running. It may be that we only have 2 precincts, those same 2 on north and south, but they'll be universal. You could live in Weewaw and vote in St. Joe. You could live at the Cape and vote in Weewaw. That's the plan. It has to be approved by the governor, and we're not the only ones. It's going to be the same thing in some of these other counties. Some of the precincts are destroyed. Some of them, are not going to have power. So that's the plan, and he has a plan going forward. But I'll let him make that announcement at the next meeting if that's okay.
I just had a quick question. Does the city of Port St. Joe need to make that same request on that 12%? No.
Yes, sir. And I talked to Mr. Anderson about that.
Okay, okay. All right. I understand.
Before we go on, we're going to have to transition because we don't want to hold the power company up on some of this damage assessment. So I'm going to be talking to some folks about swapping out with our building department that has been doing the damage assessment going through, and they're probably halfway through, to focus on doing these electrical inspections when we get people back up and running. So just to give you an update, we're going to have help on both sides. So we're going to be reaching out to some folks to do that, some qualified folks.
Okay.
If Mark's here, he may want to give an update.
Morning.
Morning.
So we've got a lot of the county cleared, and we're working with Ashbridge. We actually a conversation with them this morning. They're going to finish it, and so we're going to use our resources to do other stuff. I've got a pretty solid detailed plan in place to how we're going to get stuff to fire departments and information back to us so that we can. I mean, we were so busy doing the other to let some things go, but from this point forward, we're going to make sure that the fire departments have fuel for generators and water and MREs and whatever supplies that they need. We'll have our crews going, talking to people that they know, so that the information will be face to face. We'll bring the information back, and I got 6 people devoted to making sure that all the fire departments are getting what they need starting today.
Great.
So that broken link should get fixed today.
Thank you on that.
There's so much I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate it.
we're working.
Mr. Chairman,
Appreciate
could
it.
I speak just a moment with the city of Rural Hitchcock before they leave? Commissioner, I know there, and what am I trying to say? Can the people, for information, I know you have a sign that you can continually put information on, but can they come to your office, or not your office, but the city complex there on 71, and you'll have it staffed from what hour to what hour?
We got it staffed from 9 to 4, and Lydia Russell is
Okay,
staffing it. We're
but
trying to get somebody
they
else.
can, if people's asking me, well, where can I get information? I need,
Send it right
where to
now.
go. Thank you.
And we're also, I think Kelly had talked with Lydia about putting it on Facebook, the information and stuff, so we can get the information from them, so.
Come there to the city, there on 71.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, thank you, sir.
So there was mentioned in here yesterday about how dark St. Joe is and no presence of lights anywhere. So I located 3 light plants yesterday and last night. We went and put one up at 71 and 98, one at First Street and 98, and we put one on Reed Avenue and actually have it positioned to where the lights are facing like down the road. And at dark, it provides a little bit of assurance that you can see somebody if somebody was trying to slip in and out or whatever. So it intersects, it lights up the main intersections of St. Joe, which is a benefit. And I got one more that I'm working on. If I can get it, then we'll have one more available.
All right, thank you, sir.
And we're going to put that at the intersection 22 and 71.
Appreciate it.
Superintendent, you come give an update.
All right, Mr. Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask Lori Price to join me.
Jim?
Yes.
Let's set it up there.
And I know Duke Energy's here, and we thank them for all they're doing for our community, and he just told you how many folks with Duke Energy, about 1,200 living around Fort St. Joe High School, and we understand they have a job to do, and it's just like shift work at a factory, when it comes dark and the shift turns over. We feel like we have, our facilities have weathered the storm better than most of our neighboring counties. And I'm including Bluntstown and schools in Bay County. I talked to Superintendent Husfeld yesterday, and pretty much from the Hathaway Bridge west, their facilities are all intact and kind of normal operations. It's just everything, you know, the Hathaway Bridge back our direction, from Mosley High School to Jenks Middle School and other things. There's a lot to be said about Port St. Joe Elementary School. It was a building built in the 1950s, and right now it's serving as a Red Cross shelter. One of the first things, well, I'm digressing, but one of the first things I'll ask you all to do is to help us move that pod or that service. I think logically the best spot would be to go to the Centennial Building. We already have cook sheds setting up to serve warm meals behind the City Cook Pavilion that are just coming in from Salvation Army, Pace Assembly of God setting up there. Other churches are coming in, and literally just the community supporting community. Now, to translate to where we are to get the schools up and going, I'm making a brave statement. We're going to be up and going. Gulf District schools will be operating in 2 weeks. And it may not look quite the same as what we wanted to do, but we will be prepared. A lot of people, I guess I would ask that you all remind people, our community in Mexico Beach are more tied together than Panama City and Mexico Beach. Mexico Beach just happens to fall on the other side. Approximately 15% of our students at the Port St. Joe schools come from Mexico Beach. We know how decimated it is, and those will probably be the hardest students to account for. We have a lot of kids that really weren't in a position for their families to evacuate, that have weathered the storm, and they really are asking when schools are going to be open. If sooner than 2 weeks, we're in a position to, come up with special ways to open things for those kids, we're going to do that. But to say, you see kids out there doing things, we would love to involve those kids with, the pod that's operating out of Port St. Joe Elementary School, and just help those that may be more impoverished than others. Right now, what we have going on is what you're aware of. Duke Energy contacted us before the storm, and we agreed that if it came anywhere near here, they could use the Port St. Joe High School facility as a staging area. Bobby Pickles and Mike may know as much about this as with Duke Energy as anybody else. He asked that if we could, as far as Port St. Joe High School went, we needed, and this was yesterday, he said we needed probably another week, and then we can assess from there. But their ultimate plans, or at least as they advised me yesterday, were when it is functionally safe and they're able to do so, Duke's probably going to fall back to the Apalachicola Airport. Well, they're fine where they're at. What our plans are to open schools are we can run everything out of Port St. Joe Elementary, which brings us back to you all over the next week, helping transition maybe the Red Cross and the others. We're not talking about right now. We realize we're pretty much in a kind of a recovery instead of a rebuild. But reopen has to be a part of it. And we've said, you guys, hearing what you say, y'all going to rebuild the city. We're going to, with the schools and the churches, we're going to help rebuild the community part of this city. And with that, Lori, we're going to be putting out a statement today. I guess jumping some of the list. We put out a statement assuring our employees they're going to be paid. Sissy Worley is setting up in Jackson County. We can make payroll and do direct deposits, or individuals can, drive to Jackson County and pick up their paychecks, depending on where they're at. The next step for us to do is to find a way to get those employees checking in. Lori's going to address all that. And the third thing is, when we're prepared, we're going to be able to open schools. Again, our target window is to be in earnest open in 2 weeks. So with that, Lori, go over everything and we'll answer questions.
Our first priority, of course, is to make sure that our buildings are structurally sound, that all the schools have been inspected, and are safe for occupancy. We may have to get pretty creative with, as far as school schedules. We may use the elementary schools and do a half-day session for elementary and a half-day session for high schools, if the high schools are going to take a little longer to repair. Well, that just means there's lots of logistics to have to be worked out, transportation, school lunches, those kinds of things. So we'll have all of our principals together tomorrow, all the district staff will be together tomorrow, and we'll begin addressing some of those kinds of things so we can get the kinks worked out. Please do not misunderstand anything we're saying. We are very grateful for what Red Cross is doing and has done, and we appreciated them being at St. Joe Elementary. We appreciate all that Duke Energy is doing, and their being at St. Joe High. The National Guard, as I understand it, is at Weewah High, but whenever the buildings are available, if you can help us with that, that's that much quicker that we can get going on our end of it.
We feel like Port St. Joe Elementary School facility is in pretty good shape. Port St. Joe High School has issues, and Duke is already finding that out. Everywhere there's a sewer main, there seems to be sinkholes formed around, and I guess that's the backwash from the sewer. So there will be lots of issues. C-Pod was ravaged at Port St. Joe High School. There's gaping holes in the dome above the library. We have yet to assess the dome at Port St. Joe High School. Chairman Quinn was driving a bus 2 or 3 days ago, said the chassis on most all of the buses were bent but still operational. Superintendent Husfeldt said yesterday, Jim, once you're up and going, every medium to large district in the state will give you a school bus. We've been blessed, as Michael said, we've had all of our elected officials here. I've told them it feels good to have them here. We know that we have their ear. From Neil Dunn to the Commissioner of Education, the Chancellor was back. Chancellor Herschel Lyons was back with us, spent the day yesterday, and they're taking the messages back. And I do want to say one thing as we wind down. Pretty much before we answer questions, one of the senators in the party said we had heard the sky was falling, but we're watching this operation, and he said, "Where's the truth? I see too much good going on." We know what kind of community we live in, and it is a testament to the people that are here. The kids who walked up, and we know all the same kids from Joe Bogart. I told him he's now the captain of the football team. They didn't sit down yesterday, directing traffic, and we have sent from our primary pod, my new word I've learned for the day, military logo, but we have sent hot meals. And another person I want to thank who really, I think, helped keep peace and order, served over 3,000 meals. A gentleman by the name of John Kirkpatrick III that owns the Sonny's Barbecue franchises out of Ocala and Gainesville, Orlando, and all of South Florida. He basically took the loaves and the fishes and divided them from what he was going to support law enforcement, and he fed the public. And for 3 days, up through yesterday, they had hot meals. New hot meals are arriving, and it's just been a great testament. The sky's not falling. It did fall, but we are certainly climbing out of that, and we're going to be in a good situation. If there are any questions we can answer, the main thing is, I hope you all will, in the next week, to help us maintain our timeline, and you may come up with some better functionality. There may be tents that you can put in the baseball field to move Red Cross to. Whatever options you want to look at are it. But it seems to be serving a good role where it's operating. But for us to open that school, Port St. Joe Elementary School, in 2 weeks, we will kind of need to take that pod and Red Cross component and transfer it a little bit differently. And any questions?
I forgot to talk to you. I talked to you 10 times yesterday, but Waste Pro was wanting to know if you needed some roll-offs for your spoiled food and stuff like that out of your
Yes,
cafeterias.
and I'm going to say this. We saved, Port St. Joe High School, we will have lost all the food. Same for Weewalt. We saved all the food at Port St. Joe Elementary School. We got the generators up and going. Kenny Strange was able to help us 2 days before FEMA arrived with generators. It was still solid, frozen as a rock when we got it going, and we have a school supply of generators. The others will probably have to be cleaned out. I have no doubt Duke Energy, living at Port St. Joe High School, will leave it better than they found it, so with lights going. But we do have generator electricity at Port St. Joe Elementary School.
All right, Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Norton? Mr. Norton, I just want to commend you and your staff. Like I said, I drove through the drive-through, and you got workers out there. I mean,
There's some heroes out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is.
There have been some hero stories, and I know y'all have witnessed them too.
yes, sir. So we really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
And also, just for public information, we're having a special school board meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock where we'll be, where the board will resume acting on some of the emergency, I guess, decision-making done as a manager. Thank y'all for
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sheriff, please.
Sheriff?
Just want to kind of give you an update on a few things we're working operational-wise for the sheriff's office. Still working on maintaining or reestablishing our communications from north end to south end. Had a lot of work done yesterday, day before, to get our towers back up. Still do not have radio communications from north end to south end, but luckily with the telephones coming up, we're dispatching via telephone, and we do what we have to do. But that's moving forward. We appreciate Duke Energy allowing us to get the existing antennas off of this tower that's compromised and putting that up. So that's working and moving forward. So had a good visit. Went up to Wee Wee Hitchcock for a couple hours yesterday and saw everything was operational and good. At Rich's, people getting gas. Everything was orderly there. Went by the substation. It was coming back together there. We've got phones established and temporary radios where we can car to car there just a little bit. So the other issue that I want to come before you is opening the county up. I think we're at a time where we need to completely release these checkpoints, and we can utilize those staffs, the law enforcement and the guard that are tied up there right now, and put them back in the community and hopefully provide some better patrol for what's going on. I know it comes with some problems. I'm hoping y'all understand that, but we're ready to face those problems. We have to get more people in here that have interest in these properties to protect them. We know the best person to protect your property is yourself, and we're here to help, but we need more people in here. I know there's going to be a bad element that comes in, but we're prepared to deal with that. So my suggestion is to open the county up, to release these roadblocks, and to get those guys doing something in the communities that will benefit. So there's no objection on that. I'll probably get the word out and lift the roadblocks effective immediately. Any issues with that, gentlemen?
Sheriff, I'm just hearing a lot of, if we can get the presence up in the communities, I know a lot of people was already come in that we couldn't keep out, but we've got to get those patrols up, and that's only.
And I understand that, and understanding when you've got outside law enforcement agencies that are coming in, they've got a different expectation of what issues that we have here. And so I'm trying to get them to understand we need more security in the neighborhoods and not at the pods. I don't think there's going to be an issue of having problems at the pod if people invading it, if we've got just a couple of people there. So it's just spreading out the resources a little bit, and I think it's going to work. We're going to get some more people out there and keep people safe. And again, as communication comes back up, 2 days ago, nobody could call to tell that they're having somebody in their house or somebody at next door looting. Nobody could report, and the bad guys knew that. So now they know we've got the power of this, the video, do whatever we've got to do, call, got the power to get it in there, get a deputy out. So as things come up and our services come up, we're going to be okay. And what you're going to see is the issues with this looting is going to go down because we're going to put them in jail and people are going to be reporting it. I think it's going to be better.
Sheriff, the only question I have is over at the Cape, do we need to limit, I mean, it's still kind of primitive, getting there, and we don't need just an influx of people trying to get to that Cape,
Right.
Question that needs to be answered on that, but.
I agree on that. What, are they just allowing the residents, I mean, how are they going out? I haven't been to the Cape in the last couple of days, but as far as the road to get out to the end. It's wide open? Okay, all right. It's due to the fact that what you've got a couple of hundred full-time residents there versus 1,400 rooftops. There's a lot of issues there. Yes, sir, I can go with that. I'll put up a roadblock there because that's the most isolated area.
Right,
of the county.
right.
And people do not live there on a permanent basis.
Right.
So I can do that if you want to.
If the board so wants to do that, if we could have a motion to do that for every area except Cape San Blas, and keep the curfew until we get, power restored.
And I don't mind, you know, as far as residents and our workers need to get in there, that's fine, but just somebody, you know, wanting to sightsee, it's too dangerous. It's just,
Just locals.
yeah.
And that's
Okay.
strictly for a road issue too.
Okay,
because
right, exactly.
We've got to
Right.
keep that under control so they can continue to open it up, and, that's fine. We'll take
Okay,
care of that one.
okay.
The other issue is I want to mention real quick, until we can, establish, some lights, and a little bit of, normal operations here, I want to continue on with the curfew as the way we've got it, get these lights established, and, also, once the business is open, I want to, restrict the sale of alcoholic beverages until further notice.
Yeah.
We don't need that added problem.
We need a motion on it. All right,
You would do them independently, so the two of us.
no. All right, so the first, all right,
If y'all want to, I mean,
Yeah,
you
we
don't
don't-
need to.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to lift the checkpoints.
all right, so you're gonna make the motion to lift the checkpoints,
We got two different, but the cake,
all but the cake, and we're keeping the 7 to 7 curfew.
that's correct.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner McDaniel,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Any further board discussion on this?
I've got more discussion.
Yes, sir, you have the floor, Mr. Rich.
You want to limit sale or you want to restrict sale? Just like limiting gas, no sale? Well, I'm in the business of selling.
I'm in the business of keeping people safe, and I don't think it's safe. So, that's within my purview to do that.
Okay.
Respectfully, sir.
Mr. Attorney?
Man, the sheriff, and like I said, I'm not going to step out and review the jurisdiction or the control, but I do believe for the public safety, the sheriff does have that discretion at this time. And again, I don't have it right here in front of me, but my understanding it is, he's made that recommendation in light of the situation. So I can, my recommendation at this time is that I believe that authority and that jurisdiction is within the sheriff's purview.
All right, thanks, sir. Any further board discussion? All right, any opposition to that motion? All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, now I need to entertain a motion for, suspend alcohol sales in the entire county.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McCrone. Any further board discussion on that? All right, any opposition to that motion? Motion passes 5-0.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
When we get power back on, we can sell it.
I'll continue to reassess the lighting situation, the looting situation, a lot of stuff that's going on. I'll continue to reassess and, address it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Could the clerk read the first motion back? Did it include leaving the curfew in?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all it is.
Yes. That's it.
Sheriff, I don't know if this is you or not, but, you when we talked about those other part locations, is that you?
Well, probably a little bit more on Marshall's end.
Okay.
I've been handling some of it with the guards since we're moving assets and everything. We'll get working on that.
Okay.
We've just got to find the perfect location. I think the more we take away from the school there, the better. So we're probably going to really need to relocate it somewhere else in the community. We'll get together and work on that and get the pod moved out of the elementary school. It was just perfect with the drive-through there, but I understand them getting it operational. We need the schools to function and bring things back together by all means.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
And with a grocery store on each end open, that's gonna alleviate 90% of the need for these pods. I mean, people can take care of themselves if they have the opportunity to. So the governor and the CFO are working on getting the Piggly Wiggly operational today. Mr. Rich is gonna be operational today, we hope, fully operational. So we'll have a grocery store on each end. That's gonna solve a lot of this problem. I mean, so.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Chief.
Chief?
just real quick, I appreciate everybody and all that you're doing, especially the folks in this room. I appreciate Mark Cawthorn getting those lights set up yesterday. Again, the Orlando Police Department's been a godsend to the city of Port St. Joe. They're patrolling day and night with our guys. They've even tarped a few officers' roofs that need it because they couldn't go home and do it. We appreciate them. I appreciate all of y'all.
Thanks, sir.
Marshall asked who.
I'd just like to say one thing. I'm going to turn it over. Wes is on, there is a lot of activity going on from a lot of agencies and organizations. Those agencies within the county that are working, we ask that you coordinate back with the EOC. In coordination, I mean, let us know what you're doing, and because there's limited assets out there, and I think we're starting to use each other's assets, and so we need to coordinate to make sure that everybody's taken care of. Now, like I said, starting to move the pod, we were looking at a volunteers donation at the Centennial Building, and so we need to reassess that, but we need to see what those resources are and what they're being used for and what they could be used for. So if you would, just coordinate back with us to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts and duplicating resources, and that would help a lot. Do y'all want to do another operational briefing? We did one at 7:30. Most of y'all were there. Would you like for Les to do another quick operational briefing?
That's fine.
Okay, what we're doing, and I think most of y'all have been here, we're running the unified command through the sheriff, the EOC, and our other component is an incident management team that we have brought in to assist us. Les is the IC of that team, and if you would give us an operational briefing, please.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I'll continue the reoccurring theme this morning. Outstanding work throughout the community. It's just heartwarming to see neighbors helping neighbors. I know each one of you personally have been doing that as well. That's what it takes to bring a community back. You can't rely totally on the outside. You got to help each other. But I will encourage you to watch each other, make sure you're taking a break. I worry about Mr. Nelson. I worry about the sheriff. I worry about every one of you. At some point, you've got to disengage, at least just for a little while, and catch your breaths. Please make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Your EOC staff's doing amazing work. Our focus today, we kept hearing that the Cape area as well as the Overstreet area weren't getting a lot of, I'll say the word love. So today we're focusing on those areas. We'll continue to focus on those areas a little bit. I did speak to the lieutenant from the Guard personally who's been to both of those communities. They felt that they were hitting them enough, but they're going to double their efforts and make sure those communities see the high presence there. We're also working harder on our pods about getting distribution further out into the areas where they can't go. A lot of people are being involved in that. The donation sites are going to be our next challenge. There's a lot of people who will bring a lot of stuff in your community to help you. That's got to be organized and coordinated. My best friend just showed up yesterday, the Florida Forest Service. They've had hand crews working in Panama City cleaning streets and sawing trees. Those crews are done. They want something to do. I've asked them to come over on behalf of Mr. Nelson to help your community, and that's their first priority, is to help organize those donation sites and start taking care of that. And those crews can also start helping with the pod sites. They have a lot of experience managing pods. They're just outstanding hard workers, and I think you're going to love to see them rolling in. One thing I failed, you've got your IAPs in front of you, but I did fail to give you this. This is yesterday's. I'll leave you one of these if you'd like, but I'm sorry, all of today's, these are information flyers that are being produced. They're being pushed out throughout the entire community. Everywhere the pods are, everywhere we're doing mobile distribution, we're doing our best to get information out to the community because we know we don't have electronic communication with them right now. We've added now, there's 2 sites, and I'm sorry, I got somebody trying to go get the flyer. We now have 2 sites set up that we're going to man every day for about 8 hours that will just have someone sitting there that can answer questions for the community. All that information is in these flyers. The law enforcement officers, the firefighters, and everyone that's pushing out have those flyers and hand them out. So we are trying very, very hard to get information out to the community. We know they're desperate to hear about it. We've been talking about the fire departments. We've got a team that's going out. Yesterday, they have visited every fire department in the county to find out what their needs are. Rolling in today, you have 10 fire engines with 4 firefighters of each fire engine arriving in this community today. What we're going to do is those fire departments like City of Port St. Joe, Weewall, everywhere that we know your volunteers are done, they're spent. These guys are going to come in and let your volunteers go home and get some rest. And they're going to cover the county until, for a couple days, to give you guys an opportunity to catch your breath and take care. So again, it's going to be 10 fire engines, and then we also bring in 5 water tenders or water tankers to provide water just as a backup. So you're going to have 15 fire apparatus from around the state of Florida, firefighters leaving their homes and their fire departments to come help your community, and those will be arriving today. So we're happy to do that. I think you guys know what we're talking about in the distribution centers. We're going to make sure as far as the donations go, the Centennial Building's one, and the Weewall High School gym is the other. And Sheriff, do you think we're okay leaving those there, or do we need to reassess that? We'll talk about that later. For now,
That'd be the old gym.
the old gym, okay. So just have awareness of that, and that's all I have now, unless there are
We're going to have to
questions.
move the Centennial one.
We will have to move the
But we'll work on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's
Okay.
get together. Okay, I believe that's all I have for now, Mr. Chair. Let's just questions.
Any questions, Mr. Les? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
One question. FEMA, have you heard anything about FEMA being set up?
So what will happen with FEMA, you're talking about their assistance teams?
Exactly.
So they're already rolling in. Right now, the assistant teams are focusing on the people at the shelter, but they will start, their teams will start growing, and they'll be very aggressive about going in the community. They'll literally start going door to door to sign people up for assistance. They'll start setting up mobile locations, and eventually they'll have a fixed location. We haven't identified where that's going to be, but long-term recovery, there'll be a fixed location where FEMA will be. So we still, like we talked about it the other day, there's a website, there's a phone. I know communications are down, but they are very aggressive about going out and making sure every person in the community knows how to sign up for assistance. Thank you.
Les,
Yes, sir.
listening to the radio yesterday, FEMA is supposedly setting up in Bay County at Sam's and it's my understanding, for monetary assistance. So hopefully we can get them on in here.
And that's what
You gotta have your ID, you gotta have all kind of.
Right, they'll meet with each one of your citizens, assist what their needs are, and then whatever their program allows them to do, they will do for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
Recess.
You good? All right.
What time tomorrow are you going?
9 o'clock a.m., recess till 9 o'clock in the
9
morning.
o'clock a.m. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sacred Heart.
Oh, okay, I forgot about Sacred Heart, that's right. All right, let's call this, reconvene.
Real quick.
Yes, sir. And Red
I
Cross.
am on the board of Northwest Florida Red Cross, and I am serving as liaison between anybody that needs something to get to the Red Cross. Jim, I'm gonna deal with the issue of getting the shelter moved. We have a shelter there, and at Honeyville, we're at the elementary, so I'm gonna deal with that right now. We've got a porta potty issue. Obviously, we gotta deal with that.
And Mel, as far as, I want to be clear, why don't we just say, the remainder of this week, it's fine, let's address the triage of the situation at hand. But for us to be able to open in 2 weeks, I think that, logically, we might be able to.
We need to get the wheels turning to
That's right,
start
that's
moving.
right.
Okay, all right, so if I don't have any communication like anybody else, but if you see that old blue Volvo somewhere, that's where I am. Because everybody knows that car. That's why I'm driving, if I can find some gas. And Marshall, I borrowed some alligator clips from your building to this one side sits 3 people at a time there. So, I'll bring them back to you later.
Make sure you turn them.
All right.
All right, Dr. Bushler and Dr. Pablo and Health Department.
Hi there, Dr. Bixler, I'm with Dr. Pablo. So just to give you a couple of updates regarding pharmacies. I just got the word about 5 minutes ago that Bi-Rite Apalachicola is fully functional. So for our Bi-Rite customers here in both Weeraw and Port St. Joe, if they are needing to fill new prescriptions, that is the place to get them. Currently, Bi-Rite, PSJ, and Weeraw have no power. As of today, they are still running the same hours I was able to give you yesterday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in respective time zones, to do emergency prescriptions. But until they get power, they are not able to do any new scripts. CVS Port St. Joe is open today from 9 until 7 p.m. They are able to fill new prescriptions and provide emergency access to non-controlled substances, including insulin. CVS and Appalach will also be open, fully functional, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then one other just elephant in the room, with more people coming into our county, we are going to need more support for our hospital. Right now, due to not having drinkable water, we are not able to have any housing within our hospital. Until we get potable drinking water, we cannot house anyone in our hospital. So that is priority number one for Sacred Heart.
So make sure we really give needs into the community. The emergency department is functional. We can pretty much take care of any emergency. We've got our doctors, that's there. We got people coming to help. But without potable water, we cannot admit patients to the hospital. So if they have to be admitted, they're going to be transferred. And unfortunately, Fayette County's a mess. So a lot of folks are ended up in Fort Walton or Pensacola or Destin. And our two hospitals to the west, Destin and Pensacola, are both. Destin this morning, our capacity is 75 patients. We've got 79. So if that tells you something, it can be over 80 at times. So just share that with the community. That would be appreciated. And the other thing is that we do not have connectivity back to our resources there. So we're doing everything on paper, which the doctors love because they don't have to use the electronic record. But as far as really being fully functional, we're not going to be there until we get that back too. So those are the two main key pieces: is the potable water and the connectivity with the internet. It sounds like, from what I'm hearing, the infrastructure sounds like it's coming along great, and that should be up and running pretty quickly. So, any questions for us?
No, sir. Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am.
We're still trying to get a mobile pharmacy to be stationed at the Lewa Health Department, and so.
You talk so soft, sweetie.
Okay, I'm sorry. So in addition to the pharmacy support, we're still working on the mobile pharmacy. It was sent up to the mission request, and we've been in contact with them. As soon as it's stationed, we'll let you know. We've already reserved a room to make it happen. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sandy, one more thing. Listen, Michael, did Lighthouse Utilities, I know Jay got the plan up running,
The plan is to turn water on for limited areas this morning. That
Okay.
was the last I heard, late last night, that they were producing water and they were filling their tanks at midnight.
Okay.
Last I heard.
Sounds good.
So some areas of Lighthouse will have service today, of course, not north of the stump hole.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Meeting stands in recess. And I want to see the city officials